When we slow down enough to truly watch nature, whether it's the steady rhythm of waves lapping a quiet shore, the patient unfurling of a leaf in spring's soft light, or the gentle dance of clouds drifting across an open sky, Zen teaches that three profound lessons quietly reveal themselves. First, the art of effortless flow. For nature moves without force, yet accomplishes everything in its time. Rivers carve canyons not through violence, but through patient persistence. Clouds transform without resistance, and trees grow toward the sun without straining. In watching this flow, we learn to let go of the frantic grasping that characterizes our own lives, to yield into the currents of circumstance with trust rather than struggle, and to discover that yielding is not weakness, but a deep form of strength, a way of aligning ourselves with life's own intelligence, rather than trying to impose our will upon it. Second, the wisdom of impermanence, as every moment in nature is a perfect embodiment of change. The blossom that opens eventually wilts. The autumn leaf that glows brilliantly must fall. The midday sun dips below the horizon, only to rise again in a new form. By witnessing this eternal dance of becoming and passing, we learn to embrace our own impermanence, to let go of clinging to youth, possessions, or fixed identities, and to find freedom in the unfolding mystery of each moment, recognizing that true peace lies not in resisting change, but in celebrating the ever-renewing miracle of impermanence. Third, the gift of silent presence. For nature does not preach or perform. It simply is, and in that being, it radiates profound presence that invites us to step out of our noisy thoughts and rest in spacious awareness. When we sit beneath a tree, listen to birdsong, or watch a sunset, we experience a deep anchoring in the now, a reminder that life's most meaningful revelations arise not from doing more, but from being fully here, in silent communion with the world around us. As these three lessons merge, the flow that teaches us effortless action, the impermanence that frees us from clinging, and the silent presence that grounds us in the now, we discover a path of living in harmony with nature's own rhythms. We learn to move through life like water, to bloom like flowers without attachment to outcome, and to rest like the mountains, unmoved by passing storms. Through the lens of nature, Zen unearths a timeless guidebook for the heart, showing us that everything we seek, calm, clarity, courage, compassion, already lives within and all around us, waiting for our attention. And as you continue to watch the unfolding tapestry of the natural world, you begin to sense that this art of effortless flow extends beyond water and wind into every aspect of your own life. The seasons of your work, the cycles of your relationships, the rise and fall of desires and fears, all moving in their own time, inviting you to participate rather than resist, to plant seeds and then patiently tend them without gripping at the harvest, knowing that the deeper intelligence of life carries you forward if you simply align with its current. And in recognizing impermanence, you see that every breath you inhale and exhale, every heartbeat, every thought is both new and fleeting. And this realization dissolves the painful weight of regret for what has been and the anxious clutching at what may come, allowing you to inhabit this very moment with gratitude and courage, celebrating the beauty of change as a constant companion rather than an adversary, and in embracing silent presence, sitting with a view of the sky as the colors shift, or standing barefoot on dew-kissed grass, you discover that words are not always needed for wisdom to arise. For in the gentle hush of bird calls or the stillness at dawn, the heart learns its own language of peace, tapping into a reservoir of calm that no amount of doing can produce. And from this wellspring, you find that the most profound teaching in life is not to add more to your schedule, but to be more in your being, allowing the quiet lessons of nature to guide your steps, shape your intentions, and nourish your soul. And so, as the morning mist dissipates and the sun gently warms the horizon, you come to understand that nature's effortless flow is mirrored in the cycles of your own becoming. Like the tide that recedes only to return, your motivations and fears rise and fall, and each ebb invites reflection, each flow invites action. You see that clinging to resistance is like trying to hold water in a closed fist, and when you release your grip, you feel the natural current beneath your palm, teaching you to engage with life's changes without the agony of opposition, to meet challenges with the supple strength of bamboo bending in the wind, not with the brittle rigidity of a tree that snaps. And, as you notice the seasons shifting, buds to blossoms to fallen petals, you recognize anew that impermanence is the great liberator. For when you allow each experience to arise and pass like clouds on the boundless sky of your awareness, you taste freedom from the stale prisons of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties, discovering that everything you ever needed, joy, sorrow, meaning, lives in the simple aliveness of this fleeting moment. Moreover, when you sit beside a flowing stream or walk barefoot on the earth, the gift of silent presence deepens. You learn that wisdom is not archived in distant philosophies, but dwells in the unspoken communion between your beating heart and the pulse of life itself. That the crackle of a fallen leaf underfoot, or the gentle rustle of branches overhead, is a koan inviting you to see without thinking, to feel without judging, to be without becoming. And as these three teachings, flow, impermanence, and presence, interlace, you discover a path of living that transforms every breath into a teacher, every step into a practice, and every encounter into an opportunity for deep awakening, allowing your life to unfold with the same grace as a lotus blooming at dawn, teaching you that true mastery is not about conquering the world, but about harmonizing with its rhythms, and that through the simple act of watching nature, you awaken to the timeless wisdom that all things are interwoven, transient, and alive, with the potential for profound compassion, clarity, and peace, revealing to you, over countless days and countless breaths, that the deepest lessons are those given freely, humbly, and silently by the natural world all around you. And as the light shifts again, morning to midday, midday to dusk, you notice that nature's lessons are not isolated moments, but an ongoing dialogue that invites you into ever-deepening understanding. You watch how a river does not hurry to reach the sea, yet it always arrives. How a flower does not force its bloom, but opens in its own time. How the moon waxes and wanes without complaint, each teaching a whisper, urging you to trust life's innate wisdom rather than your frantic striving. You see how the tree that stands through seasons of storm and sun does not cling to one state, but surrenders its leaves in autumn, trusting that new growth will come. And this surrender teaches you to let go of attachments, whether to identities, outcomes, or comforts, knowing that true resilience lies in adaptability, in the capacity to release what no longer serves and to remain open for what emerges next. You observe the delicate dance of predator and prey, the symbiosis of pollinator and blossom, the way ecosystems thrive through interdependence rather than isolation, and you learn that your own flourishing is not separate from the well-being of others, that compassion and cooperation are as natural as the bees that gather nectar, and that when you care for the world around you, you care for yourself. In watching the seasons cycle of birth, growth, decay, and rest, you understand that every phase of life has value. Spring's promise reminds you of new beginnings. Summer's abundance reminds you of the joy of full engagement. Autumn's release reminds you of the grace of letting go. And winter's stillness reminds you of the necessity of rest and introspection. Each lesson, vivid in nature's unfolding, becomes a mirror reflecting your own inner rhythms. When you feel overwhelmed by the rush of life, you remember the river's steady course. When you fear the unknown, you recall the flowers unfurling. When you cling to comfort, you recall the tree's readiness to shed. When you forget to rest, you recall the silent dormancy beneath the snow. And so, the wisdom you derive from nature is not theoretical. It is alive in your bones, grounding every heartbeat in a profound sense of connectedness. You practice flowing with your circumstances like water around stones, transforming obstacles into teachers rather than barriers. You practice embracing change as the only constant, finding in each transformation a source of renewal rather than loss. You practice presence as a sacred art, immersing yourself fully in every moment, breathing with the rhythm of the wind, listening with the ears of a fawn, seeing with the clarity of a hawk's gaze, feeling with the openness of moss on a rock. In doing so, you discover that the very fabric of your life is woven from the same threads as the world outside, impermanent, interdependent, and alive with possibility. The boundaries between self and nature dissolve, revealing a luminous unity that transcends the fragile self you once believed to be separate. You come to know that each blade of grass, each drifting cloud, each flicker of twilight is a living koan, a question and an answer all at once, inviting you to awaken to the miracle of existence by simply watching, breathing, and being. And as you carry these lessons into your daily life, bringing the art of flow to your relationships, embracing impermanence in your plans, and practicing presence in your work, you transform every action into an expression of Zen. You learn that life's greatest teacher is not found in distant temples or ancient texts, but in the quiet, unassuming wisdom of the world that unfolds around you each day. And in this continuous act of learning from nature, you realize that the journey of awakening is not separate from the journey of living. It is life itself, moment by moment, breath by breath, leaf by leaf, wave by wave, teaching you, guiding you, and reminding you always that you too are nature, and that to watch nature is to watch yourself come home. And as day yields to evening, and twilight's soft violet drapes the sky, you may find yourself drawn once more to nature's silent symphony, the cricket's song, the slow exhalation of dusk, the first star's hesitant glimmer. And in these tender moments, you come to realize that the three lessons of flow, impermanence, and presence are woven together by a deeper truth, that life itself is a living mandala, continuously unfolding, collapsing, and unfolding again in an exquisite dance of becoming. You see that flow without resistance allows you to meet each moment with grace. Impermanence invites you to savor every heartbeat without clinging, and presence opens you to the sacred unity that underlies all multiplicity. And from this integrated wisdom arises a fourth, unspoken teaching, that of equanimity, the balanced mind that remains steady amid change, just as the mountain stands unshaken by passing storms, offering a quiet refuge to every traveler. You learn to cultivate equanimity by watching how nature maintains harmony through cycles of creations and decay, how the forest floor nourishes new life from fallen leaves, how the ocean's tides retreat only to return, and how this cyclical harmony never favors one state over another, encouraging you to rest in the center of life's rhythms, neither chasing pleasure nor fleeing pain, but embracing each as an expression of the whole. And so, through the patient observation of nature's unfolding mysteries, you come to embody a profound serenity, flowing effortlessly with life's currents, embracing the beauty of impermanence, resting in silent presence, and standing unwaveringly in equanimity, realizing that these are not distant ideals, but living practices available in every moment. Just as the river flows, the flower fades, the breeze whispers, and the stars emerge. This is the gift of nature to the Zen seeker, a mirror of your own heart, a teacher without words, and a path that leads you home to the simple, boundless truth that you already are and have always been, inseparable from the vibrant, impermanent, and utterly present mystery of life itself. If this message brought you calm, this space is always here for you. Subscribe, return, and walk this quiet path with us, one breath at a time. Until next time, live in joy, like the flower that gives fragrance even to the hand that crushes it.